name's Caleb White, and I worked on the SSA and Let's Authenticate. So I'm going to talk about what the Secure Socket API is a little bit, and then I'll talk about my contributions, and then I'll talk about client certificates and how that can be used to replace passwords. And then I will talk about Let's Authenticate, which is the system we built in the lab to use client certificates. And then I'll talk about the photo app that I built, and I'll show you the fundamentals of that. So it probably won't be everyone walking around the room. The Secure Socket API is the system we built in the Internet Security Lab that verifies TLS certificates in the operating system. So instead of your web browser making sure your certificate is valid for like an HTTPS connection, it's going to be done in the operating system and intercepting all the traffic. And this gives the power to the end user to choose, okay, how secure, like what protocols do I want to accept, which ones do I want to reject, and it secures all the applications instead of just the web browser. So Steam and everything else. And really quickly here, so here is, instead of calling a socket TCP connection, you can just call this kernel module we built and just call them directly into TLS. And then it will go into user space daemon, which does all the heavy lifting and verifies the certificate, and then it passes it back through into a normal TCP connection. Or you can have it override all TCP connections. Just go through here and come back out. So for my contributions, I worked on packaging the SSA. So there's the kernel module and the user space daemon. And the kernel module was the hardest because you have to build it for a specific kernel, so the user doesn't have to build it themselves. Because before they had to manually download the source code, manually build it, manually insert it into the kernel, and then run the user space daemon each time they wanted a secure connection. So, yeah, eventually I found this thing called KMods, which is inserts it into the kernel automatically when you run the rpm install or yum install. And so that took a while, and then the user space daemon is a normal package that you can install like in Fedora. And here you can see, so this is the SSA kernel module, and it's only 22 kilobytes, and then the dependency is this README file. And instead of having like 70 dependencies, you have like one. And so it's a lot easier for the user. So it can be adopted a lot better. And then here you can see the user space daemon running. And this is the kernel module that's running. And this is after a clean install of Fedora. And I just said, yum install or whatever. Those two packages were installed. And then I rebooted the computer and they were still running. So. Now, the second half of the semester I worked on client certificates. We were thinking about how do we make authentication mechanisms more secure, and there are some challenges with passwords. Everyone uses them, but they can have a lot of security problems. So we all know, people make weak passwords and really short and all that, and then they're all the same, and then they have like 50 passwords, and so if a hacker gets one of them, then they can log in everywhere, right? Or if the database gets hacked, then even if the password is secure, it could still, it could be in plain text or whatever, or it could be easily cracked if it were hashed. So, and then you have to remember all your passwords, and if it's on a flash drive and you lose your flash drive, right? Or if it's in a password manager, how is that secure? And so our solution in the lab was to use client certificates instead. The advantages of this is it's built upon private and public key authentication. So you get your private key, and that's never revealed to anyone. And then you say, for example, you have your email, and so you sign it with your private key, and then everyone else can use that certificate. The challenges of that is you have to make sure there's a way to revoke your certificate if you want to log out. To reissue a new one, it has to be easy for the user to use, because right now often with client certificates, it's really hard. I don't know if you ever tried, but you like go to the web page and it's like, okay, insert your client certificate, blah, blah, blah. It's just really hard. So, and then there has to be a way to keep your email and your name and everything private. The difference is it's something you have versus something you know, right? Because you know your password. This is how you would create an account with our system. So you would have a phone app which would manage all your certificates. And so you would request a certificate from the Trusted Certificate Authority we have. And then it would do the normal thing where you have to verify your email. You go to Gmail and you copy it into the phone app. And then you would pass that token back to the Certificate Authority. And then it would generate a certificate for you. So that would make it really easy for a user because they don't have to worry about, how do I create a certificate. And then once you do that, this is how you log in. So then you go to the login web page. Instead of doing a username and password, there's a QR code. And you scan that, and that has a session ID in it. And then you pass that and your certificate to the backend server, which can validate your certificate and log that session in. So that's how that works. The advantages of our system versus other systems is that we're building secure usability and privacy into it. So it's going to have a way, a really easy way to revoke certificates. You're going to see on your phone, okay, these are places I've logged in, and I want to log this one out because I don't know who it is. And then I want to be able to reissue a new one when I want to. And then it will be really easy with the phone. You just scan the QR code instead of having to okay, how do I use client certificates? The phone manages it for you. And then there will be a way to hide your email, your name inside the certificate so normal people can't see it. Okay, now for the fun part. So this is the web page I built. It's kind of like, you upload a photo type of a thing. This is how you log in. And then the idea is at the end of the week, it's like a photo contest. So at the end of the week, the admin goes in and gives you points based upon if they like your photo, and then you get money. We're gonna have a demo. So this is how you would create an account. So you would put in your name and email, and then you'd scan this QR code with your phone. And the phone app hasn't been built yet. That wasn't my part. It's mostly built, but it's still being worked on a little bit. So I made a little fake phone for you guys. The idea is that you'd be able to say, okay, I want a new account, or I want to log in as these people that I have. And you can go back here. And now it's created your account for you. And now you can upload a photo. And so the front end and the back end of this web page is what I built. And we had a lot figuring out to do, okay, how are we going to make it reusable? How can we make it work with everything else? And then this all photos is like an image feed of everyone's photos that they've uploaded. The idea is this could be used in a user study with like 50 people, and then they could give feedback about this later. And then as an admin, you can log in. You can see everyone and how much money they received. And then you can go to all photos and you can nominate, which means like, I think this person should get a reward. And then award means, okay, I want to give this person money because he's the best photo. And then as admin, you can also sort by the awards you've given, which is a nice feature. Do that. And then if you log in as a normal user, you can see, say the next week you log in, or the next day, you can see that you have money and that the photo was indeed given a reward. So. That's my presentation.
All right, thank you.